The Heart of the Forest, Yanga Dada storyline. A story written and read by Mamzi Ovuyo. Chapter 1, Introduction. I still remember her shouting at me, "Yanga, ish, he did it again. I swear to send you straight to hell if you don't give it back. Give it back now." Zimasa Dada, my mother. She would shout at me, punish me, keep me grounded for a month, and in worst cases, she would beat the truth out of me. We were a family of 4, Nobulumgo Dada, my younger sister, and Jezile Icon Dada, my father, who pretended to be strict, but in reality, my mother was. My mother was a hawker in town, where I was born, in Queenstown. We lived 10 kilometers away from town, and my father, he was a junkie, a narcotic addict, a stoner to be precise. My sister was the most hilarious person in the family, who always pledged to pray before bedtime but never really did. I was 12 years old when my mother got sick and tired of punishing and grounding me. I couldn't stop searching her wallet for money. She tried hiding it in different spots around the house, but I would still find it. She then decided to send me away to stay with my parents, my grandparents, her parents, in a small village called Gunute village, 23 kilometers away from town. It wasn't really pleasant staying out there. My grandparents were irreligious people. We didn't pray. In fact, I remember they would beat me up if I would say the word God or any religious related word around the house. Chapter 2, The Heart of the Forest. One afternoon, right after school, something odd occurred. My grandfather always made sure that the cattle is back from the forest and all accounted for. But on this particular afternoon, none of them were back and no one was home. I took off my school uniform, put on my casual clothes, and said to myself, I will go look for the cattle, bring it back home before my grandparents were back. Honestly, I was excited yet scared, but part of me said, go on, impress your grandparents. So I went to the forest. As I was walking around the forest, whistling a song my father always listened to, Bob Marley, No Woman, No Cry, a strange noise began to emerge from a distance, quite close I presume. This was the voice of someone talking. Slowly, I followed the trail up a grassy knoll. The closer I got, the more voices I heard. More like a group of grade 12 students debating, or better yet, an angry mob chasing a thief. I thought to myself, okay, I think I'm now too close, as I start noticing my grandparents' clothes laying all around the ground. It really reminded me back in my parents' house, when I once came back from school earlier than I used to. My parents' clothes laying all over the dining room's floor, and my mother making strange noise in the bedroom. I got curious, and I opened the bedroom door. It wasn't really a good scene for me, especially at that age. This was almost similar to that, but no, it couldn't be. It can never be. My grandparents, come on, not in the forest. But then to my surprise, they were there, naked, both of them on their knees, praying. To my thoughts, I couldn't believe it, but they were there, praying. Just not to God. They prayed to this grave. Little me ran away. I ran as far as I could from them. A few hours later, I decided to walk back to the house. As I walked in, my grandmother said, "You will be strong. Your time will come to serve the heart of the forest." I couldn't say anything, so I walked straight to my room. Chapter 3, The First Serve. 8 years later, 18:47 p.m., I was coming from my girlfriend's house. I couldn't bring her home with me because my grandparents were always around, so Mbali Sandla, my girlfriend, she would sneak me in her home after school, just before her parents were back from work. Walking towards home, I noticed that again the cattle weren't collected from the forest, and my grandparents weren't home. In reality, I wasn't really going to collect them, from what I've experienced 8 years ago in an attempt to impress them. It wasn't really the best idea, so I went on. took off my school uniform and did my chores. An hour later, to my suspicion, I went into their bedroom, which I wasn't allowed to. Damn, they always surprised me. They were there, both laying in bed. So I shouted, "Grandma, sorry to walk in. I prepared supper for us. I really didn't mean to walk in. It's just that I know you don't like your food cold. Grandma, Grandpa, can you hear me? Grandpa." I was talking alone. As I quietly moved steadily closer to my grandmother's side of the bed, there was a favorite cereal bowl with a note next to it. Quietly slid it out and read it. "Yanga." I would have written a long note if it was a goodbye, see you in hell note. But this is a save us note. Take this bowl and serve it to the heart of the forest. In this bowl there's our blood. There's a church in town. Find it and give this note to the first mason. He will tell you what to do next. The name of the church is Atheismus Church. Be strong, grandson. We love you. No. There was no way I was going to do that. So I threw the note on the floor and took off, walking around the village trying to think on what to do. Telling someone about this might not free, save, nor bring them back. They raised me. They trusted and believed in me. All these years, they knew that this day would come. It wasn't really a pleasant night at all. I was scared to the bone. As shocked and frightened as I was, I knew I had to do it. So I did it. I remember walking up the forest, following the same trail I followed 8 years ago. Confused as I was, I took off all my clothes and slowly walked up towards the grave, kneeled, placed the bowl on top of the tombstone and prayed. "Tombstone, my grandparents left me this note to come up here and serve you. Please bring them back. I have served you." Out of nowhere, a gush of wind started blowing, and the grade 12 students debating, the angry mob chasing, the thief voices, they screamed, "Atheismus." Confused and frightened, I ended up panicking. Where are my grandparents? Tombstone, wind, Atheismus, voices, please answer me. I remained kneeled, hoping for an answer, but I was waiting for a train in a bus station. No wind blew, no voices spoke. Disappointed, I walked back home. Chapter 4. The Slaughterhouse. On the following morning, I woke up, dressed up, and went to town in pursuit to find the church. An hour later, I was there, standing in front of the Atheismus Church. There were people singing inside. I can't recall the song, but it was definitely not a song I would sing even in my dreams. I walked in and asked for the first mason. "Yanga, good morning, sir. My name is Yanga Dada. My grandparents sent me out here to give you this letter. I served the heart of the forest last night, but it didn't bring them back. The letter instructed me to come to you. You'll know what to do." First mason: "Yanga, I was waiting for you. It's not what I will do next. It's what you will do next. Your grandparents stopped serving the heart of the forest a year ago. You see, if you start, you can't stop. I'm afraid you have started, so if you stop, the same will happen to you." Yanga: No. I don't want this. I was only trying to help my grandparents." First mason: "Yanga, they are dead. She lied to you about helping them come back. I'm sorry, son." Yanga: No, I don't believe this. Why would she lie? Why would she kill? Why would she want to kill me?" First mason: "It has to go through the family, son. They had to. Otherwise, your whole family would have died." There I was, standing in front of this guy telling me to serve a tombstone. It was crazy. Skeptical as I was, I had to. I couldn't have taken chances with my life, so I accepted. He showed me around the church and introduced me to the people who were there at the time, and so I was now part of the family. But how do I serve the heart of the forest? Drain my own blood to a bowl and serve it away? No. There was a room at the back of the church called the slaughterhouse. It's quite simple. Abduct someone, bring them to the slaughterhouse, slaughter them, and serve their blood to the heart of the forest. A week later, my grandparents were buried. You see, this was not something I could have just said to anyone, because it was said that the forest is listening. Once you tell someone, you will die. My parents were there at the funeral. Everyone else was confused of how my grandparents died except for me. My mother wanted to take me away, but I had to refuse to save my own life. Weeks, months passed by. I was serving the heart of the forest. On the 15th of October afternoon, I remember receiving a call from Bali, Yanga. Hey Bali. Hi, so this is how you want us to end. Yanga, Bali, please understand, we can't be together. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry for disappearing away. I had to. Bali, I understand, but what about the baby? Yanga, what baby? What are you talking about? Bali, I'm pregnant, Yanga. Yanga, what? When? How? Bali, why? Bali, I don't understand why, and I don't know how. You're asking me stupid questions now. I'm 5 months pregnant. Look, I'm not telling you this because I want you back in my life, okay? Yanga, we have to talk about this face to face. I'm coming over. I hope you now know what this meant, right? Just in case you don't, here, I'll break it down for you, okay? Firstly, having a baby meant I had to transfer the curse of serving the heart of the forest to the baby. And secondly, I had to try and convince Mbali to go for an abortion, of which I ended up picking none of those two options. I just couldn't tell her. 4 months later, Bali gave birth to a beautiful girl, Thandeka Sandla. Even though I abandoned her and her mother, I still loved them. They meant the world to me, as they still do. A few years later, Thandeka was now 23, and I still stayed at my grandparents' house and served the forest. You see, abducting wasn't easy, but slaughtering was. Chapter 5. The Last Serve. On Thandeka's 24th birthday, I made a decision that costed me nothing else but my own soul. I kinda enjoyed it though. I mean, the pleasure that came out as I slit through someone's throat with a knife. Kids below 10 years old, they were my favorite. I could serve twice with them. Old women too. I enjoyed how they screamed. So, as I was saying, on her birthday, I was standing outside this old woman's house. She was my target, of course, but my last. I couldn't do it anymore. Burning their headless bodies was the worst. An hour later, I went in to abduct the woman. Followed the normal procedure, but things went wrong. Her son was a police officer, and it happened that on that day, he had visited his mother. Little did I knew, I went in, got caught while tying her up, and I was sent to prison. I was tired of all this, so I confessed to slaughtering 226 people, including 98 kids. Tomorrow, I'll be executed for my doings. I wrote the story for you, Thandeka. I hope you'll find it interesting. I heard you're a journalist. I love you, my daughter, and I will always do. Yanga Dada was executed. Yanga Dada was a qualified journalist. Mbali Sandla was later found dead next to a building where she worked. It's believed to have committed suicide by jumping off the rooftop after reading Thandeka's story about Yanga Dada. The end.